My Lords, I thank Baroness Penn and welcome this instrument, which brings a practical reform necessary for Ulster Bank Limited to continue to be an authorised bank issuing commercial banknotes in Northern Ireland and to National Westminster Bank. My Lords, I must raise an urgent Northern Ireland issue as well. Last year, legislation which had all-party and crossbench support was initiated in this House to provide modest financial payments to men and women who suffered the most horrendous physical and psychological injuries through no fault of their own during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. My Lords, under Section 10.2 of the Northern Ireland Executive Formation Act 2019, the legislation imposed a statutory obligation upon the Executive Office in Northern Ireland to have a scheme up and running by last Friday, the 29th of May 2020, so that claims could be made and payments quickly processed to these victims. But my Lords, not only is the scheme not operational, none of the structures to support it are in place, as they were again statutorily required to be over 3 months ago by the 24th of February 2020. That is before the COVID-19 lockdown. The executive has palpably failed, indeed refused to comply with the law. Even more damning is the heartless treatment of some of the most vulnerable victims of Northern Ireland's violent past, and now part of its living, tortured legacy. Elderly men and women permanently disabled through no fault of their own by terrorist attacks some 50 years ago are confined to wheelchairs or on prosthetic limbs or blinded and live in permanent pain. And because of underlying medical conditions as a result of their injuries, they now also live in constant fear of contracting COVID-19. I and other noble lords have met members of the Wave Injured group, whose campaigning over many years was the driving force behind the 2019 legislation initiated in the Bishop's House. They had been expecting a pension to help them better survive in the last period of their lives, backdated to the Stormont House Agreement of December 2014. But then they discovered last week, only days before the scheme was due to commence, that nothing had been done. Nothing had been done, my Lords. As you would expect, they're devastated. The Executive Office say that the government should fund the scheme, and the government say that funding should come from the Northern Ireland Block Grant. If that is indeed the cause of this impasse, then there needs to be an urgent adult conversation to resolve it. Either way, it's completely unacceptable that the law is being flouted in this way. And I ask the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, as the sponsor of the 2019 Act, to have urgent discussions with the First and Deputy First Ministers of Northern Ireland to resolve this shameful impasse. And I hope that the Minister, the Noble Baroness, will respond positively on this matter. My Lords, how on earth can politics have sunk so low that a severely injured victim, maimed for life in a terrorist atrocity decades ago, has now been forced to put the devolved Northern Ireland administration on notice of judicial action, possibly judicial review, to force it to honour its moral and legal obligations?